What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Yala, your thrice weekly podcast where we talk about the hottest news with a touch of what, Terrence?
Good old married man humor.
Good old married man humor.
That's what it is now.
This is the first ever edition of Yalabat featuring two married men. Who are Harish and Terrence, because we've had two married men before.
Yes.
The first time in history that we are recording a podcast when both of us are married, dude.
So
this is a milestone.
How does it? How does it feel being married now? Because I mean, this is the. I think people haven't heard your actual married voice for like a couple of weeks already, right?
Yeah. Correct.
So how do you feel?
Walao, I think now I feel quite finally can breathe a bit. Because the wedding was on 9th December. We did go on a bit of a hiatus during which Terrence held the fort. And we released some pre-recorded episodes. But this past month, I think the wedding was just a whirlwind. And would you believe it? We didn't record anything during the time of the wedding, right? But for the first time in my life, I lost my voice so bad.
Yeah, that's true.
It was fucking terrible. I lost it, started losing it on 7th December. By 8th, it was pretty much gone. And by the 9th on the wedding, I was really just destroying my throat with every word. And it was so surreal because I couldn't speak as much as I wanted.
Yeah, I think that's God's way of telling you what you need to do for your marriage. Just talk less and listen more.
Exactly. And then my wife, no, not my fiance anymore. My wife, who is more quiet than me. The joke was that, okay, on this day, the universe just made me talk less so that my wife can talk more. Yeah.
I remember you called me I think a day or two before your wedding, and I thought you were crying, like you had been left at the altar or something, because your voice just sounded so terrible. Yeah,
I was like, hey Terrence. When I was calling you for an XLR cable or something.
Yeah. But overall, like, did it match your expectations of what your dream wedding would be?
I mean, your whole life, I never had like a dream wedding or something. I just wanted it to be fun for us and for the people who came. And everything went amazingly well. And all the people who came, I know for a fact that many enjoyed themselves. I don't know whether everybody enjoyed themselves, but mostly enjoyed themselves. And it was just a great day, the wedding.
But how do you feel about it being like, knowing that might have been the biggest party that you might throw in your entire life for yourself?
Like my thoughts on weddings also have come a long way. Yes, it is probably the biggest party that I will throw for myself. That whole notion, as much as I love talking, right? And as much as you could argue that I do love attention to a certain extent, I found it so weird on the wedding, everybody attending something that was for me and my wife.
It felt it feels, I remember that feeling also during my wedding. Like, it feels very self-indulgent almost, right? Like, all that's happening is you two are just, you're just signing a piece of paper, essentially, right? Yeah. And everything else is the same, but then suddenly everybody's out in suits and celebrating and everything.
And like people flying down, and I mean, I really shout out to my friends and family who flew down. I know one of my cousins in Hong Kong or / Dubai listens to this, so shout out to you, bro. But yeah, everyone just coming down for us. It felt very surreal, and ultimately it does add on pressure, and that has also made me think about another aspect of weddings. I think the amount. I've always never understood the stress of weddings. I've never. Whenever people say they get stressed planning weddings, I'm like, how stressful can it be? But holy shit, man! And it's not because of the wedding itself. It's because of the people involved.
It's people. Yeah, there's always people.
I cannot. If you ask me to go back like 3 months and tell my younger self, dude, it's going to be ridiculously stressful and draining and wonderful at the same time, I'll be like, hey, just shut up. It's just a big event. It's like a TV production. It's like a TV shoot. But oh my God, dude. Yeah, but I mean, all in all, it was still great, and there were a lot of people that I was just so happy were there. You and your wife were there, and to all those listening, Terrence gave an awesome toast at the dinner reception.
Yeah.
Hey, what? Yeah. Hey, can you fucking step off your pedestal?
I gave a shout out to Yalabat and all the Yalabat listeners by starting the speech with and welcome to another episode of, and then that was it lah. Yeah.
No, but I mean, like, this is something my wife and I agreed, and my family and all. They said all the speeches were great, but yeah, Terrence, thanks for the speech, man.
No,
and I mean that in all sincerity.
You're welcome.
It was great.
I think also I guess the interesting thing for you is that you all did it in a smaller venue than just a hotel ballroom, right?
Yeah.
So I was seated at a table with some people who, for them, they're foreigners, and it was their first time attending a Singapore wedding. So they were very unclear about a lot of the customs about, who do I give an ang pao to and things like that. I also had to explain to them that this is, this is not your conventional kind of like, big banquet, Chinese kind of wedding and all. So there are certain things that are quite special here that you'll probably only experience with this one time in Singapore lah. Yeah. So I think it generally provided quite a lot of first times for a lot of people in the wedding as well. Yeah.
That's awesome. But I also wanted to make a point to myself to just say that if anyone out there is planning a wedding and getting worried about why is there so much drama, aren't weddings supposed to be happy things? I have come to accept that it is part and parcel of the process.
Yeah.
And my wife also showed me this one post, but I can't remember, some woman in America who had her own wedding, and she said, it said that no one talks about the uglier side of weddings. And I know ugly is a very strong word, but I think it is part and parcel of organizing an event that deals with so many people, many of whom are emotionally invested.
And I think a lot of people project the expectations of you and you as part of the family and all that on the wedding itself, right? Like
yes,
everything
correct.
that you thought. Everything you thought that they'll be chill about and they wouldn't care that much about, or they'll just be like, okay, just let Harish and Steph have that day. Turns out actually it means a lot to them, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean they also, like, I feel like they base entire judgments on that one day, almost like negating everything else they know about you.
Yeah.
Which is a very surreal kind of thing. But I just wanted to say, if anyone out there is planning a wedding or planning some massive family event, and there's drama and all that, it is part and parcel of the process, lah.
Yeah.
And everybody goes through it, whether or not they talk about it. I'm 100% sure that everybody goes through it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you've come to embrace it, that it's not about your wedding is not about you and your wife already, right? It's about a much larger thing, right?
I would say it's a balance. I think it's about the bride and the groom amidst everything else that matters to everyone attending.
Yeah.
I don't think it's mutually exclusive. It's this weird Venn diagram where you got this sweet spot in the middle, but so much shit can go wrong.
And there you go. Harish, is just you've described marriage in generally one diagram really, right?
No, and I almost think, I'm in an interfaith marriage, and we had to go through like a couple's preparatory course or an engaged encounter or something. I almost feel like the wedding, right? The point of weddings, of course, is fun. You have good time and all that, but it's to test your relationship. And if you and your wife or you and your husband can come out of it not hating each other, then okay, first test complete.
But the problem is this test. You're married already after the test, and then getting divorced is very troublesome.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is quite interesting because it's also kind of related to the topic we're going to be talking about later, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But there was, I think going forward, there's going to be a lot less wedding talk. So,
of course.
So if you're listening to this and you're thinking like, guys, I just want to listen to the HDB BTO issue.
Trust the audience. Today is the 23rd of December. It's the end of the year. Everyone's chill. Everyone's just listening to friends talking. They're not like rushing for commute and all. So yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I do appreciate even the Yalabat listeners and people who listen to Yalabat, some of whom see me in public and are like, oh, good luck for your wedding. I'm like, oh, shit. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Thanks. So everyone who send well wishes and all, much appreciated.
Yeah. But before we move on from this also, I just wanted to give a big shout out to Rishi and Andy Chen for stepping up to the plate in the last couple of weeks to guest host on Yalabat as well. So we were just trying a thing where, if like let's say Harish and myself aren't around, like we get a guest host on board, and Rishi and Andy were the two most generous people who actually agreed to this and turned out pretty well. I think a lot of people enjoyed the conversations. Yeah.
But there's no way they're going to replace me ever. Okay. I already know Andy, especially he's got his crosshairs on me. I'm like, Andy, this is in your face, okay? You'll come back once in a while, but I'm not going anywhere, okay, Andy?
Don't worry, don't worry. I think it was interesting talking to them also, just being catching up with them after the whole year and all that. So we hope to get them on Yalabat as guests again sometime soon. That's for sure. Yeah.
And one of the extracts from Andy's podcast also is hitting like 100K views on TikTok, right?
Yeah, it went pretty viral. Just talking about differences between Taiwan and Singapore in terms of cost of living, right? Yeah. That's pretty crazy.
Another thread that is relevant to our first topic.
Yes.
But anything to plug? Anything to plug first? A quick plug.
I mean, if anything, we're back. Yalabat is back again to regular-ish programming, given that it's the end of the year and all that, right? But regular-ish programming, where it's two guys talking about comedy and stuff, talking about news with a touch of comedy again. So if you like this, please do tell one other person about it, or leave us a review, or wherever you listen to this podcast, on Spotify or Apple Music or wherever. Yeah.
Hell yes.
That's cool. Right. Okay.
Cool.
Jumping to the first topic of the day.
First topic. So the first topic, like what we alluded to, has to do with HDB and BTO flats in particular.
Yeah.
Because there was over like the past week, there was growing chatter about seemingly vacant BTO flats in Singapore being posted online for sale after their minimum occupancy period, which goes by the acronym MOP. And essentially, for the uninitiated, maybe you're listening, you're not the most familiar, in Singapore for public housing, there is the BTO option, which is the build-to-order flats, where you put down, you bid for it, and the HDB is built over the next few years. You get your keys, and you have to occupy it for 5 years before you can sell it on the open market. The same goes for resale flats, which are flats that are already in existence. You buy, you have to stay in it for 5 years. What has been happening, apparently, is people are putting listings for these BTOs after the MOP period with pictures that kind of hint that it was never lived in. It has almost like the factory settings. There's no electrical outlets. There's no lights. Which kind of implies that, people have bought it and not lived in it. Which sounds on the surface like, okay, you're the homeowner, you can do what you want, but why has it caused such a buzz, Terence?
Because of the MOP, minimum occupancy period, which is basically a rule set by HDB that if you buy a BTO flat, you have to occupy it and live in it for minimum of 5 years, 5-year occupancy. From the moment you collect your keys, and if there's any moment that you don't live in it, it's not counted either, right? So it's supposed to be a rule. It's supposed to be a rule that such to prevent people from profiteering from publicly subsidized housing. That means if you have the means to stay in somewhere else, a private housing or something like that, then you shouldn't be using the government grants and subsidies to buy a public house and then to flip it later, 5 years later, and to leave, a very sought after public house empty, such that another couple can take it and use it, right? Because they are always oversubscribed at this point, right?
Yeah, especially for some of the more popular areas. And I mean, when we talk about profiteering, right? I personally know some friends who got married early. They bought their first BTO maybe 2016, and by 2021 when they sold it, there was at least one or two I know who made 100% profit.
You sold it for double, you saying?
Yeah, they bought it at like 300 plus. They sold it for 600 plus in Punggol.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, like which other kind of investment aside from you talk about, I don't know, landed property or tech stocks and all, but it was almost quite common because if they sold it at 600, when these flats expire their MOP, it's like an entire batch of flats that go on the market.
Yep.
So for them to be able to sell it for 600 or even high 500 plus means that they're probably, it's not the lowest by far, it's maybe the average price.
Yeah.
So at first when I saw this topic, I'm like, yeah, but I mean, it's ultimately up to them to live in and all. But then, I mean, I got my resale flat last year, a year and a half ago. And I'm lucky that I got it before they went on this insane upward trend of rising costs. And now BTOs, resale, they're all expensive, and when you hear situations like this, it's almost like, then they must have been living somewhere else, which means they have the means to live somewhere else.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think the other surprising thing is that now that it's out in the media and the media is covering it all, because I'm sure this is not the first time this has happened, right? I'm sure there have been occasions like this before, but now that they're being covered, in the media, and then there's, all these hot topics of inflation, rising costs, the crazy cost of housing in Singapore and all that. All these debates going on in Parliament and in the social media space and all. Even HDB has had to come forward and basically say that they will look into taking action against these so-called errant homeowners, right? So there's a lot of things that HDB can do. I think they can confiscate. If I'm not wrong, they can confiscate the flat at below the value that it was bought at, and various measures like that, lah. But actually, like where, before we jump all that, how did we get so many details that the homeowner actually was living at his parents' place and all that?
I think it all started when people were highlighting listings on Property Guru that, show the pictures of the flat.
Yeah.
And it really looks like nothing has been done.
Yeah.
Because when you buy a BTO, I think you can choose like the basic flooring or something like that. And you can't change the windows and all. But even no electricity or power points there, and they advertise it as good as being a new owner, or like
brand new
unit, brand new unit with no extension required, completed in 2018. So about the details of where the people live and all, because there have been cases. Apparently, between 2017 and 2022, HDB did publicly say that it has taken the same enforcement actions that you mentioned just now in 53 cases. And 21 cases, the flats were compulsorily acquired, which just means that HDB acquires the flat. There might be fines imposed on the owners, and the flat is put up for sale as a sale of balance of flats.
Yeah, that's right.
So they do, and I mean, I have heard that HDB is quite stringent about this, because I've had friends who go overseas for overseas postings or something, and they do need to apply or let HDB know, because then the MOP is extended.
I see. And I think also in this case, if I'm not wrong, the Straits Times also reached out to the property agent. And the property agent, maybe, I don't know, maybe they were posing as interested buyers or something. And the property agent basically pautoed his clients, talking about how they got married and then decided I think the story was that the family business suddenly was doing very well. Decided to buy a landed property, and everybody moved into that landed property, leaving the HDB vacant. So I'm very happy for the family, but they just basically got pautoed by the property agent.
Yeah, correct. No, but I mean, apparently it was a lot more stringent in the 80s and 90s. And when I say apparently, it's just based on whatever forums and all I could find online, where they took a more active, like doing spot checks on recently launched BTOs that are empty.
Yeah.
And even asking the neighbors. In this case, I guess the rules are there, but when you saw these articles, were you surprised that this is happening, or like what was running through your mind when you found out about this recent trend?
No, I mean I'm not surprised that this has been going on. I guess the only thing I is interesting now is that because I think everyone is taking an interest in the discussion about the cost of living in Singapore, right? And so this is literally, being debated in Parliament in the next sitting as well about BTO prices and all, and the difficulty of getting BTOs, right? So, I mean, it really shows you that social media can amplify a lot of these issues that people on the ground are facing, lah. But maybe it's just, I think the situation is coming to a point where people are so sick and tired of this BTO shortage and the inability to get a roof over their heads as a newly married couple, that's why it's boiling over at this point, and that's why it's causing such outrage, and it's worth talking about.
Because the context, just on a very high macro level over the past few years since COVID, I mean, when COVID happened, a lot of the BTOs that were due to be completed in maybe the next 1, 2, or 3 years got pushed back, right, to 4, 5, even 6 years.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you, I mean, like one very Singaporean thing is the BTO proposal, right?
Yeah.
And this one I got friends who I think listen to this podcast also. They told me that they didn't even have the proposal thing come up. They started applying for BTO first.
Yeah.
And then the ring was like maybe level stage 2, stage 3. The first thing was submit an application, because it'll take some time before you can apply, then you get the bid, then you have to wait like 4 or 5 years. I've had, I know a couple of friends who signed up for BTO, like 4 years later, got the BTO, got the keys, but then decided not to go through with the marriage, and they lost the deposit. So it's a very, I don't know how many other countries have this process, but at the start of COVID, when this happened and everything got pushed back, you can imagine as a young couple, maybe you've been waiting, you got 1 or 2 years left, then suddenly 4 more years.
Yeah.
It's a long ass time.
Yeah.
Right. So then a lot of people started looking for resale flats. Which caused the resale flat prices to go up. Then there was a lot of pressure on the government to speed up the BTO construction and all, but COVID didn't help. And now just the housing situation in Singapore to buy, especially for public housing, is the prices are high.
Yeah.
Then now the rents also are going up, and there's so many cases of people having their rents go from having 50, 60, 70% increases from last year to the next year.
So just in
all this
because you were when you were looking for a place to buy and all that, did you ever come across postings like this when there was like units that were just completely bare and unfurnished and everything?
No, because I think I was quite set on getting a resale. I didn't want to wait.
Okay.
I would rather get a smaller resale place than a bigger BTO place, because I didn't want to wait like 4 years, 4 years or 5 years.
Got it.
Yeah, so I was lucky that I got it that time. So the most of the places I was looking at was resale. So confirm lived in. Actually, no, there was some that just went off MOP that we were looking, but I didn't come across anything that looked like, hey, shit, this is stock standard, man, like factory settings.
Default
yeah,
factory
I didn't come across. I didn't come across.
Then the next question is, I guess, I mean, if people are partaking, I mean, it is their entitlement as a Singapore citizen to, partake in the country's success, contribute and partake in the country's success, right? And then I actually don't. I mean, some people are like, but their parents are rich, they can live in landed property and all that, then they shouldn't be given these subsidies. I actually think that argument is a bit unfair, right? Because then you just have to start looking to people's family history and all that, whether they're entitled to all these things, So right now the measure, the main yardstick for measuring where someone's eligible to buy a HDB is their monthly income, right? You don't think about their family background and things like that. You think more about what's their current monthly income, right?
Yeah.
So what is philosophically the problem? What is the problem with people wanting to make a profit from the HDB that they worked hard, they bought, they made use of whatever was available in terms of subsidies to them as a young couple, and then they flipped it and partook in Singapore's prosperity as a rising global market for foreign talent and everything, right? What is so bad about what they're doing then?
So that's where it does get a bit grey, even for me. But I think, like, based on what I've seen online and based on some of the current debates that are going on in Parliament, actually, some going on Facebook also, between Leong Man Wai and Sim N, right?
Yeah.
Which has now culminated in PSP, which is the party that Leong Man Wai is from, committing to filing a motion so that it can be debated in Parliament.
Yeah.
And one big thing that they were debating was about how public housing should be viewed, in the sense that should it be seen as like a, how you say, almost like an asset that works on the open market, that like supply, demand, and the market determines the price, or whether it should be seen as a public good, like the public transport or something like that. And that's where I think maybe the philosophical debate comes up a bit more, because if it's public housing, if it's meant to cater to, I don't know, right now it's like 80% of the population live in public housing. Should it be just based on market forces, or should there be a more active role by the government in keeping the cost low, which is what the PAP says the government does do, even though there's a lot of pushback. So I think that's where the fact that it's meant to be a public good, public infrastructure. So if people are profiteering from it, feels like there's a conflict there.
Yeah. I mean, to add to that, I would suppose that in this case it's a bit more clear cut also, because it looks like the homeowners are circumventing the rules a bit, right? About the minimum occupancy period. It's not about just collecting the keys and leaving it sitting there. It's literally you're supposed to be occupying the space, right? And living in it, and not renting it out, right? So they didn't rent it out, but they're not living in it. That means on the NRIC, on the identification card, there's the address is listed as that empty HDB flat, but they're actually physically sleeping and eating and living in another place, which that's where I think, not just in terms of breaking the law in terms of the HDB and the minimum occupancy period, but you're living in a place that is different from the residence stated on your identification, right? So that itself is another offense, that might need to be looked into.
Is that an offense? Is that an offense?
To live, you mean you're talking about to live in a place that is different from your listed residence on your NRIC?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it is. Like you've got to be able to, you have to be able to be found if the authorities are looking for you, right, or trying to reach you.
So I don't know whether it's an offense, but it's also something that feels can be circumvented a lot. Like, I'm going to stay with family or something. I think that's where it gets tricky, because I mean, on one side argument, I can kind of see it is if they own it, they can do whatever they want. But the thing is, the HDB has very clear rules about MOP and occupancy. But if that's the case, then how come they are not enforcing it? And someone pointed out on Reddit, I believe, that if the HDB really wanted to enforce, you can kind of monitor the utility bills.
Yeah.
Right.
You could.
You could. So then I'm like, okay, of course, then it becomes the whole thing, like, how invasive do you want the government to be? Like, hey, fuck, they know, how come you use more water this month than last month? You're not showering enough, is it? Or some shit like that.
Yeah.
But then it becomes like, if you want to enforce it, should you go all the way? Because of course, with the tinfoil hat on, one section of the internet pointed out that, now with the narrative of like a lot of blame being put on the government for pushing up the cost of government housing, right, public housing, this in some way kind of deflects it to to the owners lah, you know,
Yeah,
and to these unscrupulous actions by homeowners lah, which made me also think like,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know how true that is, but it was something to think about lah.
Yeah. But I mean, to your point about the using the utilities to check, I think, I mean, aside from the privacy issues, lah, right? Because that's something to be debated. But I totally think that's doable, right? Like it's not.
It's totally doable.
It's not
like
those. It's not like those days when you need someone to physically come down and check the meter and then charge you accordingly. Because I mean, literally every time I forget my bill to pay my bill for utilities, I straight away like get a ton of emails and a ton of like text messages and on my. So I know that there are a lot of systems in place to tell you how much gas you're using, and they're tracking it with every detail of it so closely. So I'm sure if they needed to track it for HDB, that could easily be arranged for, right?
And they even compare you to your neighbors and all, right?
Yeah. They give you like, it's making like a competition to gamify your usage of power.
They're like, oh, in your estate, you're using more water than 90% of your neighbors. Maybe it's something for you to think about, bro.
Yeah. So they should have a message, hey, you don't seem to be using your power much these days. Maybe the police need to come and do a spot check on you.
Yeah, exactly. Because like what you said, when I'm late on my bill, so I get SMS notification, I get email, I get a letter, I get a notification through the app. Then like, guys, okay, I know.
I get it.
I know. I get it.
So
I know.
Yeah. Don't let anyone tell you that it's not physically possible to do it, because it is. It absolutely is. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. So that's where it feels like, I mean, I think it's still a good thing that these sort of things are being highlighted, because people will always game the system, right?
Yeah.
But if it's a system where you really need to minimize the gamification, there needs to be measures put in place, lah. And I remember when we were looking for a place, it took a long time, man, to find something that fit what we could afford and what we needed and what we were hoping. And
so if one of your friends happened to be in this situation, here's like the person who posted this thing, right? What would you say to your friend?
Oh, Lord, that one. I have been in the position where I try and exert my moral authority on my friends or maybe family members before. To not much avail.
Just call police. Call police.
Just call police.
Save yourself the trouble.
Yeah, because I mean, okay, so there are certain circumstances where people need to sell it, and I know HDB also does this case-by-case evaluation. Let's say if there's a death or divorce or some irreconcilable difference that there's almost no more choice but to sell it. They do allow that. Yeah. Same with like renting out, and even when it comes to renting, you can't rent out your whole flat, but you can rent out a room or two. And I know people that have stayed in houses where the owner just locks one door, but the owner doesn't live there.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, so it's circumventing the rule, but it allows people to rent. Like it provides more options on the rental market. Yeah. So it's it's not a simple matter. It's not a simple matter.
Yeah, I think on paper it looks like you're doing wrong, but every time when you know people and you talk to them, you know their circumstances or the reasons why they're doing it, right? Very rarely I find that it's like, it's purely because I just want to make a profit from the whole thing or so, you know. There's always some other discussion or some broader family issue as well, right? That puts them in a position. I'm not absolving them entirely of the responsibility or the blame for doing something that's not right. But I'm just saying that it gets a bit trickier when you kind of know the personal situations and all that. So don't be that guy at the dinner table to like suddenly start scolding everybody and for being capitalist and all that. I'm just saying that try to understand the situation a bit more before you go all out and accuse them and ruin the dinner party. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, like the fact that it's being highlighted now is a good thing, and I mean, I was just looking like for the agents to post it on Property Guru with almost no awareness that this could get them in trouble. Also, to me, means that it's not policed enough, lah.
Yeah.
Right. Like you would do something so flippantly only if you know the consequences. The risk is very low.
That's true.
So maybe something needs to change, lah.
So maybe that's where the problem also comes down to our society is just looks at profiteering is like the number one priority, right? Where people are they're almost like what you said, like property agents. He just so carelessly just posts this online without realizing it could get his client in trouble, and they do it because the possibility of getting a big profit from it is much more worth it than the risk of getting in trouble, right? And that's the kind of society that we've sort of bred this whole. This not saying capitalism is inherently bad or anything, but maybe just too much of a dependence on money as a social indicator of your status and everything. So,
bro, I just came out of an Indian wedding. That could not have been clearer.
yeah. So it's just overall sad situation that we're kind of caught in right now. And I think rather than just motherhood statements of like, oh, we're monitoring the situation, I think something needs to be done to get people, make people have confidence that HDB is doing the right things and all again, right?
Yeah, because there will always be people who want to game the system, and they will never stop. But if the gaming is something that is really not what we want, then the measures need to be equally robust.
Yeah, correct.
Wow. But yeah, if the number 53 cases from 2017 to 2022 is an indication, it's still it's a fraction of the number of actual BTOs or resale transactions that happen. So I don't know, maybe there's a lot more that slip under the radar, but I'm glad that this is being discussed everywhere. In WhatsApp groups, on Facebook, in Parliament. So we can just join the ride, man.
Yeah. But join it's a heavy topic to talk about towards the end of the year. But we now have something a bit more lighthearted. That is, also something that has riled up a lot of people, right? But not just in Singapore, all over the world. And it's to do with one of the internet's most, historically one of the more interesting memes that ever came out from the internet, right? Or Instagram or whatever.
Yeah. Correct.
And who is this person and what did he do?
He is known. His name is Nusret Gokse. I think that's how you pronounce it. Which might not ring a bell, but something that I know will confirm ring a bell to the more internet inclined is Salt Bae.
Yes, Salt
the guy
Bae
who
himself.
got famous for salting meats by letting salt speckles fall off his elbow and into food.
Yeah.
And he's got slick black hair, tied in a ponytail, wears sunglasses, good looking guy. And when he first came out, I think maybe a few years ago, it started off as a meme, but then it became known that he's actually quite an acclaimed restaurateur who owns a few swanky restaurants. And he's only like 37 or 39. 39, wow. Correct. Yeah, he owns a chain of luxury restaurants around the world. But more recently, he made the news because when Argentina won the World Cup, and they were celebrating, and the team was celebrating on the pitch, carrying the trophy, and all the players were carrying the trophy. Suddenly, pictures emerged of Salt Bae in his grey suit and sunglasses and slick hair, holding the trophy.
Yeah. And not just holding the trophy, I think there were videos of him going up to players like Messi, grabbing them by the arm and almost like trying to persuade or force them to take a selfie together with him. And then there were also other videos of him literally almost trying to grab the trophy from the Argentinian players or their families, and just so that he could hold it and kiss the trophy himself, right?
Yeah, exactly. So when did you first see this?
I think the day or two after the World Cup final itself. Then this I think they started to post about Salt Bae, riling people up on the internet. And then I went to check out his Instagram and all, and they were all there. Basically, in the lead up to the World Cup final, he had already been entertaining a lot of footballers and guests, celebrity guests at his restaurants. And but for him to suddenly appear on the pitch at the World Cup final was quite quite a shocker lah. But I mean the photo also, the photo of him holding the World Cup and kissing it and all also was very popular on Instagram. A lot of likes, a lot of supportive comments. But there's been a backlash against him being there lah. But where did this backlash come from?
Because it is actually a FIFA rule, that the trophy can only kind of be like FIFA describes it as a priceless icon, and apparently it can only be held by the tournament winners and the likes of FIFA officials and heads of state.
Yeah.
So no one else can hold it. And if you watch any FIFA presentation ceremony or something, the only people who ever touch it right from the start, end, or finish are people who are either winners, officials, or heads of state.
Yeah.
So when this guy appears, at first when I saw the picture, I was like, okay, that has to be a replica. But no, man. There are pictures of him next to Messi, next to Lisandro Martinez, next to Angel Di Maria. And I don't know, man. It's just fucking cringe, lah.
Yeah.
It's cringe to the max. And I mean, if you go on his Instagram, even from a few years ago, like what you said, he's been a few weeks ago, he's been hosting even the FIFA president and all that, because he has restaurants in the Middle East. But ever since a few years ago, he's had footballers come to his restaurant, Lewandowski, Ronaldo, Messi, all come before lah. But his latest post, which he posted 2 days ago, I don't know if you saw it, because there's like 6 posts of him with the Argentinians and him holding the trophy. Then the latest post is Messi at his restaurant.
Yeah. But apparently, I did. But apparently that was from before the World Cup. I don't know, like
apparently
last year.
2018.
Yeah, it was from years ago,
dude.
So a lot of people in the comments were flaming him for like trying to bring this up as to justify why you're being such a jerk on the pitch. But actually, was he really? I mean, okay, aside from the FIFA rules, because we all know FIFA bends its will according to money and everything also, right? It's a well documented fact that FIFA isn't the most ethical organization either, right? But aside from the rules, like what is such a big turnoff about this him being there on the pitch? Like he's there to celebrate with some people he knows better, some that he doesn't know so well. I mean, he's just there, in a celebratory mood. It's like you attend, let's say, like someone's birthday party. You didn't, like, maybe you attend like some celebrity's birthday party, or you happen to be at a club, and then you see the celebrity, and then you're like, hey, you just cheers them a drink or take a selfie with them or something. What is so bad about this? What he's done that is pissing people off, lah?
I think because, I mean, he seems like his relationship with the Argentinian team is not that clear. He's not even from Argentina. And suddenly he's popping up and not even discreetly just being there, soaking up the ambiance. He's just taking the trophy and holding it and caressing it and kissing it, which feels like a bit like, hey, just calm the fuck down, lah. Keep your hands in your pants, man.
Yeah. And at one point he's even like grabbing it from one of the players' kids, right, who was wanting to touch the ball.
Correct.
And then the video scene, he tells the kid, "No, this is mine." Like almost like it's a play thing, and I think that's what is pissing people off, lah. That he's sort of barging in on this. Like, I mean, it's a very momentous occasion for the players involved and their families and all these things, and he's coming in like and just trying to make it about himself, like holding the trophy, kissing it, and as if he had any part to play in the team making it there, right?
But suddenly, what if his restaurant supplies the meats to the Argentinian national team or something?
Yeah, and steaks, Argentinian steaks are such an important thing, right? I don't know, man. That's the question. So, but the FIFA themselves have released a statement saying that he wasn't supposed to be there, and they are investigating and taking appropriate internal action as to how he's there. But like you said, he has been photographed or appeared on social media posts with the president of FIFA himself, right? So I'm just thinking, like, is this just a case of own self check, like he was probably maybe invited on the pitch by the FIFA president himself, and then now that he's made such a clown of the whole situation, they have to pretend to be investigating the situation, and hope
or
that
maybe
it dies
the FIFA
down.
president said, "Oh, bro, who knows? Maybe we can see you on the pitch. It's just a joke kind of thing." Then this guy was like, "All right, that's an invite.
Because
I'm gonna fucking be there."
Yeah, people have been pointed out that there were a lot of other big stars present at the World Cup final. Not even heads of states. Like I think Novak Djokovic, one of the greatest men's tennis players of all time. David Beckham was there as well.
Elon Musk also.
Elon Musk was there, but none of them invaded the pitch and tried to take from the glory of the players by holding the trophy themselves, right? So it was just. I think it's just maybe it's just that it was such a obviously a self-promoting move that he did, right? For the photos and the way that he was pulling Messi aside, it was very clear that Messi didn't want to like talk to him or engage with him. Messi is basically like a god in Argentina now, right? And he was just celebrating the moment with his teammates and everything. And this guy just keeps trying to pull Messi, like literally pulling his arm, like trying to get him to take a photo together, to shake his hand and everything. So it's just such a turn off for anyone to see it, right? And you wonder how the hell did this person get allowed onto the picture? And then maybe it goes back to the whole, a lot of people are just talking about how the World Cup in Qatar, the whole thing. How the hell did it even happen that the World Cup is held in Qatar and all? This is just the icing on the cake of all that, right?
Yeah, and I mean, like, it's not the first time a celebrity got backlash for touching or taking pictures with the World Cup.
Yeah.
Do you know who else? I
remember, I think it was Germany, right? When the Germans won the World Cup.
Yeah, correct. It was Rihanna.
Yes.
Of all people. Right. But there was still an after party, She was at an after party and she took a picture.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
Literally, this one article I'm reading from back there, it says the same thing, like FIFA has stated that only previous winners and heads of states and FIFA officials can hold a World Cup. Then fucking like how is it so easy for Salt Bae and of all people Salt Bae to get access to it? And he's lapping it up, he's taken so many pictures. Probably people who have never heard of him now know of him. So for him, it's a win. It's a total win.
But maybe they're like, Salt Bae, he's got 50 million followers on Instagram. Like maybe he could help promote this event as well by being on a pitch.
Dude,
after the
promote the World Cup. The final, I think, was watched by 4 billion people.
You don't need no tiny 50 million influencer to promote anything.
Marketing campaign, we're like, hey, shit, we need to increase awareness of the FIFA World Cup.
Yeah,
we need to increase awareness.
I think the other part people didn't like also was him doing his whole that salt thing on the World Cup, as if it was like like his own little play thing to do, like, because the World Cup is like, it's such a coveted trophy, right? Like, do you see the photo of like millions of people filling the streets of Buenos Aires in Argentina, just celebrating, and then it's just like, wow, it's such a huge thing for the whole country, and then to see this Salt Bae influencer dude just come and do all those funny things, the trophy is just turns people off, right?
And like you even see the World Cup presentation ceremony, the losing team, the way they walk past the World Cup trophy, that they came so close to touching, they themselves don't touch it.
Yeah.
It's almost it is a very iconic thing, and so that's where also I'm thinking, but is it one of those things that we are just holding on to traditions too much? It's a trophy. What's wrong? People win trophy, people win Oscar, other people can touch it also. Right? You see people partying with the Oscars, the statue after they win. What?
Yeah, but I think the reverence that people have for the World Cup and football, and how football is represents so much for a lot of people, right? I think that's where it kind of turns people off. Plus the fact that this is a celebrity chef, right? Who charges I don't know what, $500 a steak or something like that, and just basically overpriced. And what I've heard is not so nice tasting steaks, right? And for him to be able to get onto the pitch to celebrate in the place when there are probably a few hundred, if not thousands, more people more deserving than him to be celebrating alongside the Argentinian team, right? Who contributed in some way or form to the effort to win the World Cup. The fact that he can be on the pitch at the moment just kind of tells you about the whole money rules football, money rules FIFA thing that just has been such a huge turnoff for a lot of people when it comes to talking about FIFA and its corruption scandals and everything, right? So this is just like the icing on the cake, as I mentioned. Yeah.
So then, Terence, if let's say we make a film that wins an Oscar award for best film, And then we are there on stage accepting the award. Then suddenly Rishi comes in.
Okay, can one finger, you can, yeah.
No, he's fucking just hugging it, hugging it, kissing it, like just caressing it, and taking pictures and filling his social media. How would you feel, Terence?
No, I mean, I'll let social media do the work for me. It's just people behaving inappropriately at inappropriate times, right?
People behaving inappropriately.
Just rubbing salt into. No, actually, no, that doesn't work. That's not really a wound, right? It's a happy occasion.
Wrong.
Wrong.
He
it's
literally rubbed salt into the wound. No, but for him, right, it's almost a genius thing for him to do. I think his following has gone up by a few million followers, no?
But
after this.
But yeah, so I guess that's the thing, right? It's like you can go and streak in the World Cup final, right?
And you get famous, dude.
Yeah, you become famous, and your following on social media will increase, lah. But is that the kind of thing that we want to promote for the World Cup and everything, lah, right? Is that the end goal that you want, where a random celebrity just walks into the pitch and starts grabbing the trophy and kissing it and
dude,
all that?
It's a dog eat dog world, man. Just like BTOs.
Exactly.
Right? People will game the system.
That's why
game the system.
That's why it's left such a bad taste in everyone's mouth, and even HDB is doing something about it. So I think FIFA also needs to do something about it. That's the thing.
FIFA. FIFA.
Salt Bae in the World Cup.
Salt Bae. But I mean, like it's just an annoying thing because the World Cup final. You watched the final?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Holy shit, man!
Yeah, it was a pretty amazing final.
Yeah. And I will say, I think my thoughts on the GOAT
solidified already.
It's really cannot say anything.
Indisputable, yeah. I mean, the way he carried himself throughout the whole tournament as well. I mean, I think he was the first player to ever score in every match in the knockout, through the knockout phases of the World Cup.
Every stage of the World Cup. So
every stage,
every round
stage.
of 16, quarterfinals, semifinals.
Yeah. So the first person to do that,
And I think he has had the most appearances in World Cup. He's scored the most goals for Argentina. He's had the most assists. He's played in 5 World Cups. But I guess the sad thing is, I mean, I'm still a Ronaldo fan, but the contrast, right?
Yeah.
It could not have been more wide, no? And that is what I find fucking sad, For all of Ronaldo's shenanigans, that clip of him, like walking off and just sobbing,
crying,
Then other extreme Messi wins and he's like God already.
Yeah. No, I think it's
what a World Cup.
No, there's no debate already, right? I think the fact that he at his age and he's still leading the team to the World Cup tells you a lot about how he's evolved as a player, right? I think just an aside, a lot of people are just talking about how even the coach, the Argentinian coach, he's only 44 years old. He's not very old, but he's managed to find a way to really work around the strengths and weaknesses of Messi, right? And then one of the weaknesses was that he mentally is not as tough and strong as someone like, let's say, a Ronaldo, right? Ronaldo who really fights to the death, but Messi is like, you concede a couple of goals, and that's why sometimes like you've seen his teams like in really one-sided thrashings, like being thrashed really in one-sided fashion. That is very how you're thinking, like, how can this happen to a team led by Lionel Messi? But it has happened, and the coach has managed to build around the strengths and weaknesses of Messi to allow him to really shine in the last few years, right?
Yeah, and contrast that with Portugal, and I mean, like. You can argue that the Argentinian team it's built around Messi.
Yeah.
Which, I can imagine some people saying, but if the Portugal team was built around Ronaldo, he'll do as well. But I guess that's something about Messi that justifies the coach or the team playing around him. And it's I mean, this World Cup has been insane because there's Ronaldo versus Messi, and then Mbappe also just. How crazy is that, man? It's just fucking. If you miss the final, right? Sorry, you missed one of the greatest games ever.
Yeah, it was.
It was insane.
It was the emotion. Even as a neutral,
insane.
As a neutral, the emotional roller coaster was pretty crazy. Yeah.
It was fucking insane.
Yeah,
it was insane.
But cool.
But yeah. Cool.
Since we're back at regular programming, we do need to talk about what is our one Shiok comment since the last time.
Yes. Would you like to go first?
Yeah, I mean, just wanted to shout out to Jungle Jimbo 88, who actually said that he really enjoyed. Okay, maybe not just Jungle Jimbo. There are a couple of comments. Jungle Jimbo 88, Mobster Boy also, who basically all said that they really enjoyed the episode that recorded with Andy Chen. Saying that it was particularly enjoyable discussions across a range of topics. And there was a conversational chemistry that was very strong, and Andy's perspectives and stories were well discussed and eloquently put across. So it's I'm glad to hear that people enjoyed the episodes with Andy as well, and hopefully we'll get him on board again as a guest. Yeah.
I would say that I guess it was just the well wishes on Yalabat for in response to a story that you shared on our Yalabat Instagram, of which But Then Ho, long time poster, took a photo, put it on Reddit, and it was you at the wedding.
Yeah.
And just that thread was just like, congrats. It's just fucking great. I think because we've been on social media for so long, I can't imagine like our YouTube subscribers being that loving, or the Facebook followers. And the Yalabat listeners really like, wow, it really feels like an extended family.
Yeah. Loving and respectful.
And that's dope.
That's the best part. Yeah.
That it was dope. It was dope.
Yeah.
And so that was my one Shiok comment of the week, or one Shiok thread of the past few days.
Cool. And as always, what is your one Shiok thing as well? It's been a couple of weeks for you, so what is your one Shiok thing?
My one Shiok thing is this one dance that it's a clip on Instagram that my wife shared with me. Let me pull it up. It was just this dancer dancing to the song Mona Lisa. Have you heard of Mona Lisa?
Yeah.
It's as in the song Mona Lisa, I think it's Chris Brown and someone else.
Yeah.
It's an awesome song. But this was taken from a Red Bull dance festival. Let me pull it up. And there's just something about the dance, because like break dancing, a lot of it is like, wow, the spectacle of the moves they do and all. But this dancer, I think, let me pull it up. The way she dances, the caption is, the more you watch it, the more magical it gets. And it does seem like that. So the dance is Sarah. She goes by SSS Trelez. I think she's half Spanish, half Colombian. And it's just a 1 minute Instagram reel. And just watching it, there's just a lot of emotion in the dance. It's hard to describe without watching it. So I'll just put a link under the one Shiok things, and you watch it, and wow, every time I watch it, I'm like, God damn, that's just so full of emotion and passion.
Interesting.
And she looks like she's having a great time.
Oh, hot is it?
Actually, not conventionally hot. She's not wearing tight clothing, not showing all her skin. She's wearing a baggy shirt, baggy pants. But the way she dances is just very captivating.
That means unlike
your
dance. Usual Instagram diet of dance videos,
which is just thirst traps.
Thirst traps.
I wouldn't say this is a thirst trap. This is not a thirst trap. It's not a thirst trap. It's a how you say, a passion trap. Passion trap.
Got it. Interesting.
It's fucking great. It's great. Yeah. What about you, man?
My one Shiok thing is it's a video from, I think it was just released by the YouTube channel of Paramount Pictures recently. It's basically I think it's a video of a BTS video of Tom Cruise on the set of the new Mission Impossible movie, and he's just basically thanking everyone for making Top Gun Maverick one of the biggest films of the year, and he's doing it on a plane, and with him is the director of the Mission Impossible movie as well, and he delivers his message to the fans, and then he jumps off the plane in typical Tom Cruise fashion. So he skydives off the plane after finishing that message to his fans in 2022. So it makes me super excited to watch the new Mission Impossible movie when it comes out. But yeah, do check it out, man. Old man jumping off planes.
I saw that clip also, and like, who else would do a thank you message like this? Who the fuck else would do a message like this?
Yeah, who else? That's why I was like, okay, we just gotta enjoy this guy while he's still doing all these crazy stunts, right?
Yeah, exactly. He's like Messi, like. He's like Messi.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Crazy.
Cool. Wow.
Cool, man.
That was the Christmas episode. Right. And I think the next episodes we're gonna do something a bit more, maybe looking back at the year 2022, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it'll be
the most trending topic. So it'll be a nice recap to the year, lah.
Yeah, and we'll be recording them next week, lah. So they're not like pre-recorded episodes or what. So do watch out for them, all right?
Yeah, man. Cool. And until then, Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yes. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas. Yeah. Happy holidays.
Cool.
And we guys will talk to y'all soon.